Okay, Ravens, remember that you are writing a narrative or a story about a moment where everything goes wrong. Yesterday in class, we brainstormed a list of possible ideas for your narrative, of moments where everything goes wrong. If you have this list in your composition notebook in the grammar and craft section, will you open to it now? You might choose one of these ideas from your list to write your story or your narrative about. Or you might go look at the list in Schoology called Narrative Ideas. Miss Hirosh and I compiled all of the ideas from yesterday in one list. You can choose your idea from that list, or you might come up with a new idea of a moment where everything goes wrong. In this lesson today, what we're going to do is we're going to take two of these ideas and we're going to try them on. We're going to try on just like we might try on a pair of pants at a shopping store. We're going to try on these ideas to make sure that they will work for a story. And in this lesson, we're going to focus specifically on planning a story that has a clear lesson or a theme. So we came up with some great ideas yesterday, like a waitress spills a plate of pancakes covered in maple syrup on customers, or you're carrying your grandmother's treasured china vase to the car and you trip and it shatters everywhere. Or, I like this one, your dog refuses to budge and then poops in the finals at the dog show. Or you're trying to beat your enemy at a pie eating contest. You're on your 16th pie and you throw up everywhere. So what I want you to do is I want you to choose two of the ideas from your list that you want to try on. You were given a sheet that looks like this, and you've already glued that into the grammar and craft section of your composition notebook. If you haven't, make sure you do that. So the two ideas that I want to try on are the waitress spilling the plate of pancakes and the pie. I really like the pie one. You're on your 16th pie and you throw up everywhere. So I'm going to start with the plate of pancakes. So I want to start with what I already have. I already have this idea here. Waitress spills plate of pancakes covered in maple syrup on customer. And although I might think that that's my conflict or the problem in the story, it's actually not. It's my climax. So what you have in your list of ideas is actually a list of climaxes, a list of moments where the conflict is the most intense or exciting. So if my climax is that the waitress, she spills this plate of pancakes, maple syrup is dripping down her customer's head, right? Maybe the plate is shattered on the ground. Everyone in the restaurant turns and looks at her, right? That's the climax. That's the moment when the conflict is most intense. So what's the conflict? So now you need to go back and really think through, what do I want the conflict or the problem of the story to be? So I'm going to say that the conflict of my story is that the restaurant is crazy busy. She's the only waitress at the restaurant and it is so busy. It's packed. I also think a conflict for my story might be that she's trying to be perfect, right? She thinks she can do it. She just tries hard enough to be perfect that she'll be able to take care of it all, take care of all the customers. So when she spills the plate, right, that's the moment that conflict, it being crazy busy and her trying to be perfect, that's when it's the most exciting or intense. Who's my narrator? Who's telling my story? So we're going to write in first person, which means that we are telling it from a character's perspective. We're using pronouns like I. So I'm going to say that the waitress, my main character, is the one telling the story. Okay, here's the most important part. What does the waitress learn? What is the lesson? What's the theme? What is the lesson that she learns? And then how does she learn that lesson? So I said that she was trying to be perfect. So I'm going to say that the lesson she learns is that sometimes it's okay not to be perfect. And how does she learn that lesson? Well, she tries so hard to be perfect, to do it all right. She does everything right, yet in the end, it's all just too much for one person to handle, right? And she spills the pancakes. So let's try my pie idea. So my climax, right, The idea that I already had brainstormed was that the character is on his 16th pie and he pukes everywhere and the whole neighborhood laughs at him, right? This is the moment when the conflict is the most intense. So what's my conflict or problem? I'm going to think back. What might be a really great problem? Well, maybe every year since he was a little kid, he's lost to the same kid at the neighborhood pie eating contest. He's determined this year to beat this kid, right? So that's my problem or conflict. He really wants to beat this kid. He's always lost, and he's sure he's going to beat him this year. He's determined. My narrator, the person telling the story, is my main character. It's okay if you just want to write the main character is telling the story. And then my lesson, the most important part. The lesson that my character learns is that sometimes it's not worth it to win. The pie, so how does he learn this? The most pies he's ever eaten. So you're going to have to really think through and dream up. How is he going to learn this lesson? The most pies he's ever eaten is 13. So when he gets to 14 and 15, he knows he should stop. But he really wants to beat this kid. He really wants to win. So in the end, he learns that it isn't worth hurting yourself just to beat your enemy. So your job right now, you're going to choose 2 of the ideas from your list. Choose the 2 that you think are the best story ideas, or go look at the Schoology page, or come up with your own ideas. Moments where everything goes wrong. You're going to start by putting that idea in your climax box, right? That's the moment when the conflict is the most intense. Deciding your conflict or problem, your narrator, and then most important, the lesson. Before you move on, you need to have a teacher check that your story has a clear lesson or theme. Your character needs to learn a real lesson. Okay, get started.